A method to help each other stay accountable to the group. Don't assume that when we're joining this community that everyone will join and leave their emotional baggage like a bunch of suitcases at the door, and then they come in all pristine and clean, like a whole new person who never will bring any of their issues in. Heck no, they'll bring them right in, and not only that, they'll be magnified because we're all in this little crucible together. And some people might not do what they say they're going to do, which affects me because I'm downstream from them and our committee, and they needed to call the county before I could do this thing, and they didn't call and get that information, and now I can't do what I need to do. So when we all go back to our next committee meeting, I haven't done what I'm going to do because you didn't do what you were going to do. So how do we help ourselves stay accountable to our agreements? Not just things like in committees, but things like work requirements and financial requirements and following our agreements. We don't have dogs here in this community, but you brought Rover and Fido and their mom. Come on, you brought 3 dogs here. We got to deal with this. So how do you help people stay accountable to agreements? I talk about this in my workshops and in my book, Creating a Life Together. And whatever the method the group has, I want you to address it, says I, to forming groups. What do we do when somebody consistently and persistently violates agreements or does something actually kind of horrific? We have a graduated series of consequences for that kind of behavior. Consequences is a word that can make a person's blood run cold, because here in mainstream culture what that means is jail and fines and punishment, and if it was in some ancient empire in the ancient world, it would mean, you know, off with your head or off with your right hand or something terrible. No, that's not what I mean. I mean gentle, no shame, no blame, peer pressure, to gradually induce a person to come back into compliance with our agreements, and ultimately, if they don't, adios. Just having a graduated series of consequence in the community's agreement field is enough to help people be just a little bit more responsible because they know it exists. This is not true in communities such as co-housing communities, in which we all have a deed to our housing unit or a deed to our lot, which is recorded with the county and the state, and in which case property regulations supersede any community agreement, so we can't really be kicked out. But in communities that don't have, that you own your whatever it is by a deed, you can be kicked out, and that's something to keep in mind when we're trying to keep our agreements with each other. Membership. What I want, and I request most ardently on my knees to every community that's forming, is to please have very clear, rigorous, well-organized membership policy. So that if you're a group of people meeting in your living room in order to start a community, you know what are your agreements and requirements for when a visitor comes and sits in on your meetings. What are their criteria for becoming a full group member? Do they have to have attended so many meetings? How many? Do they have to have put some non-refundable amount of money into the community pot so that you can continue to purchase the things you need as a forming community group? And it's non-refundable so that they're not frivolously joining. They know that it's non-refundable. What is it, $100, $250, $500? Some amount that says, yeah, I'm serious. Do you have a common mission and purpose? And they need to understand and support it. And how can you tell? You get to know them, that they really do understand what is our mission and purpose. This is who we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. Is that what you are? Are you going there too? Different groups have different requirements or criteria, if you will, for that. Do you need to take, this is what your Aunt Diana would suggest you do. Do you need to take our consensus training before you have a full decision-making rights? And I would say, yes, yes, please. And so then this person is now a member of our forming community group. Bless you, thanks for joining. This is great. Now we have one more person or 2 more people. If the community is already up and running and they're existing on their property and they're living there, it's a little bit more elaborate of a membership process in my view, which is that they need to live there for a while, or at least visit a lot, take part in work parties, sit in on meetings and committees, perhaps even take part in committees, do tasks for committees, Learn the culture, learn the culture, learn the culture. Yes, I would have that incoming person take the consensus training. Yes, I would have them agree to the agreements we've already agreed to. Yep, I will abide by these agreements. I will learn your decision-making method before I can do it. Okay, but back to the forming community group. What else? Oh, and in this membership policy, somebody wants to join your group. If that person tends to trigger a lot of upset with a lot of folks, or seems somehow to be wanting a different thing than you all want, or perhaps raises red flags, or seems to maybe be emotionally in a state that tends to take up a lot of group time, I would respectfully request this new forming group to say no thank you to that person's entering the group. Oh no, we can't do that, it would hurt their feelings. Oh my God, I don't want to be the one to do it. Oh my gosh, that's not kind. Well, you're supposed to say yes to people who join a community because otherwise it's not community. Not true. Please say no now. It's easier than kicking them out later, which is wrenching, agonizing, and hurtful for everyone and could actually, in fact, bust up the community. Has happened before. Say no thank you to Reginald or Hildegard, who might be bringing with them some behaviors or energies or red flag situations. They're a criminal, have a criminal history. No thank you. They're on the lam from the law and want to hide out in community. No thank you. They have tendencies like Jack the Ripper or Attila the Hun. No thank you. They might have a substance abuse problem that, ouch, would get in the way of your functioning as a community. No thank you.